All right, Boomer Live, episode number 69, number 69 special. We've made it this far. That's almost a year and a quarter, and it's a great week to be doing it because we got in 10 days from now UFC 267, and the week after UFC 268, two huge pay-per-views that are going to be two candidates for pay-per-view of the year that is part of the UFC's madness in quarter four of 2021. Every single pay-per-view, including 269, which is going to be in December. And, 266 is pretty good. And 270, which is in January of 2022, is going to be outstanding too. So the UFC's just been popping off great pay-per-view after great pay-per-view. We're going to get into all that today and some more. We're going to be talking the latest drama on Paulo Costa in the fight night coming up this weekend. If you hadn't heard, Paulo Costa has said that he will not make weight, and now the UFC is planning a catchweight bout between him and Marvin Vettori. So we'll get into that drama, talk about how this is just one of many excuses for Paulo Costa over the last couple months, years. We'll say years. He's been a drama queen for a while. And we'll get into a lot more. I have it back here, pound for pound rankings, as the last order of what we're going to be doing for MMA Complete's rankings. If you haven't checked out our own personal rankings, we've done our own rankings for every weight division for the men so far in episodes 64, 67, and 68. So go check those out. We did bantamweight, lightweight, featherweight in 64. We did welterweight and middleweight in 67, and we did light heavyweight and heavyweight last week in 68. If you are new to the podcast, you're just checking out for the first time, check us out every Thursday night at 7 p.m. We do live streams and podcasts every Thursday night at 7 for about almost 69 weeks in a row. We do live streams for every single pay-per-view as well. So UFC 267, which will be not this Saturday, but next Saturday, October 30th, we'll be doing a live stream from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. for the entire pay-per-view. We also live tweet through the show. Check us out on Twitter, which is right there, at Complete_MMA. And we're also going to be doing live stream for UFC 268, which is the next week after UFC 267. So back-to-back pay-per-views in 2 weeks. Kind of crazy. It's never happened before in UFC. We'll be doing a live stream for UFC 268, I believe 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's going to be a little bit later of a start. But we will live stream for every single pay-per-view. We do it every week. We have so much fun, or every pay-per-view, I should say. And it's a really good time. If you haven't checked them out, you should go check them out. We've been getting great views lately, and I want to keep that up. So if you are new to it, if you're checking out this video wherever you are, on Facebook, YouTube, our own personal YouTube, which you should go check out. It's our easiest way to check out the other episodes that we've done. Is on MMA Complete Podcast on YouTube. You can also check us out on fansonlysports.com, nakedsports.com, Fans Only Sports Twitter has all of our live streams as well. Anywhere you've been watching us, we will be consistently Thursday night at 7 p.m. and for every UFC pay-per-view. That's all I got to say for the intro. I'm currently waiting for any of our other co-hosts to join me, but when we do, we will get into Paulo Costa first and the latest drama that's been surrounding him. We'll be right back. All right, we're gonna. I kind of wanna. you see, I could just kind of have a monologue here where I just go off. Austin will be joining us soon, and it would be better to get someone else's perspective when we do talk about the Paulo Costa drama, because that's what it is. It's drama. And it's kind of hilarious. It's kind of not, because it's fucking with the middleweight rankings. And it's especially fucking with Marvin Vettori. You know, we're going to say everybody's going to say what they have to say on Twitter or Instagram or anywhere about how Paulo Costa's fucking around and maybe the rules don't apply to him, and they might have a decent point. But the real victim in this is Marvin Vettori, because he, for all intents and purposes that everybody's heard of, will be making the 185 pounds. You know, that's grueling weight cut and extra training and just a complete regime that he's been going through over the last couple weeks to make his contracted weight of 185. And then Paulo Costa just said, no, I'm not going to do that. So Marvin Vettori must be pissed. I would be. The catch weight that has been thrown around and nothing's official yet is 195 pounds. And again, that's in 2 days. You know, this news only broke 2-3 days ago. So you have Marvin Vettori, who's probably already at like 195, maybe a little lower, trying to get down to 185. And he has less than a week to go before the fight. And Paulo Costa just tweets out that he's at 216 and he won't make the weight. And then right after that, UFC somehow makes it so it's a catchweight fight. It's pretty ridiculous, and not only ridiculous, but in a sense, it's like, what the hell are they doing? Like, how could this even happen? Because it's not unprecedented, but it's certainly unprecedented for such a high. For such a highly anticipated fight, and a fight that is between two of the top fighters in the world at their weight class. You know, Paulo Costa right now is, I believe, the number 2 contender for the middleweight rankings, and Marvin Vettori is the number 4 contender for the middleweight rankings. So these guys are both at the top of their game, and they're vying for another title shot. Obviously, they've both lost to Israel Adesanya in the last year and a half, and this is a great step for them to become ready for another number 1 contender fight, which I believe the winner of this fight will get. But now the Paulo Costa is not making weight. Like, and here's the bigger question: why don't the rules apply to him? If they make this a catchweight fight, does that mean that Marvin Vettori doesn't get the 20% of Paulo Costa's purse that he's owed? You know, if a fighter comes in overweight, it's first of all the other fighter's discretion on whether or not he wants to continue with the fight, but they all want to get paid. That's why they're putting themselves through training camps and all this hell. So they're going to have the fight. But the fighter that comes in overweight, as in the weigh-in, which the weigh-in for this fight is today or tomorrow, if they're even having a weigh-in now because of all this drama. And Paulo Costa, he shouldn't get his entire purse. The rule is, if you come in overweight, 20% of your purse after the fight goes to the other fighter that did make weight. And that's a pretty big judgment after the fight is over, because you have performance bonus possibilities, you have the win bonus possibilities. So like Paulo Costa, I'm just going to throw a random figure. I don't know what his payment is. It comes out after the fight, not before. But Paulo Costa probably stands to make like $300K in this fight. That's a rough estimate, I'm guessing. $300K, and that's probably something like $200,000 for going to the fight, $100,000 for a win, and then obviously you have $50,000 bonuses for fight of the night or knockout of the night, which this fight absolutely has the potential for. 2 really great fighters and 2 dangerous fighters and spectacular fighters. They have a chance to get fight of the night, especially on a card that, let's face it, isn't really the best as far as star power. So you're talking, you know, it could be more, it could be less, but around $350K. So 20% of that purse is $70,000 that should belong to Marvin Vettori, just because he's making weight and Paulo Costa is not. Now, does Marvin Vettori get that? I'll tell you what, he deserves it. He should get it. But the UFC is making an exception for Paulo Costa. I get it because you want Paulo Costa to be in the fight. You've promoted him for weeks. This is his first fight since the Adesanya loss in May of last year. So you want him to be back in the division, especially when he's ranked so high. There's also other factors like he's a top fighter that everybody knew. He was undefeated before he lost to Adesanya. He's also a marketable guy. He's a good-looking guy with an accent and huge muscles. Guy should be in light heavyweight. So there's reasons why the UFC wants Paulo Costa to fight. I get why they would want this fight to be catchweight. I don't get how Marvin Vettori lets this fight be catchweight. There's only two reasons why Marvin Vettori allows this to happen. And I would pray to God that Marvin Vettori's representation is good enough that he has a say in whether or not this fight could go on. The only two reasons are Marvin Vettori wants to get back to being a title contender, which I believe is probably the reason. He only lost to Adesanya in June. So this is his first fight back since then, and it's against number 2 guy. That's a huge test, and he's not slowing down. He wants to stay competitive. I get that, and that seems like his attitude from everything that we've seen from Marvin Vettori in his past. Makes sense. The other reason is he wants to get paid. He stands to make a good $200,000, $300,000 himself. He's a pretty marketable guy now, especially over his last couple fights, and that he just lost to Adesanya. He took Adesanya to 5 rounds, something that only Kelvin Gastelum's been able to do, and Jan Blachowicz. Marvin Vettori is a hell of a fighter, but I'll tell you what, if he does come into this fight at 185 pounds, which doesn't seem likely because if you're at 190 pounds and you're getting ready to cut the last 5 and you hear that the other guy's not cutting, I would just stop cutting weight. I'd come in at about 190, 192, something like that. And Paulo Costa comes in at 195, God forbid, like 200 pounds. That's dangerous, man, especially with a guy as strong and as ripped as Paulo Costa. You could get your teeth knocked out. If Paulo Costa wins this fight, there's going to be a huge asterisk. And I'll tell you what, if Paulo Costa wins this fight, I think there should be a rematch. Because this is some dumb shit. This is dumb. It's just dumb. You are a professional UFC fighter that was contractually obligated to weigh in at 186 pounds or less on the day of the weigh-in, which would either be October 21st and October 22nd. And you didn't do that. You didn't. You're not doing that. And you released it over Twitter. It's baffling is what it is. And it's not uncharacteristic of Paulo Costa. This is the same guy who, after he got knocked the fuck out by Adesanya, came out and said that the reason he lost is because he drank too much wine the night before the fight. Just dumb shit after dumb shit, man. I'm not in any place to judge. I'm not a UFC fighter. I'm not making $300,000. I'm not doing this and that, and I don't have the public spotlight on me. I get that. And I don't feel untouchable the way that these top contending UFC fighters must feel untouchable. But I'm a man of my word. If I am under contract to do something at a certain date, I'm going to do it. I had 3 deadlines this week, all for articles I hadn't written yet, and I made them all. I wasn't late on any one of them because that's what I'm contractually obligated to do. I've said my piece. If Paulo Costa wins, there should be a rematch. Marvin Vettori should get at least 20% of Paulo Costa's purse. If Marvin Vettori wins, I'm going to like him even more than I already have. And I'm a big Marvin Vettori fan. I think that he's one of the grittiest, toughest guys in the division. And I think his wrestling is great. And I think he has a pretty good personality about him. He's an Italian, loudmouth, kind of rambunctious guy. I think it works. I'll tell you what. I hope Marvin Vettori wrestles Paulo Costa for 5 rounds and just absolutely thwarts him and just makes him look silly. Shout out to Mark Tosi, who couldn't be here tonight but wanted me to call Paulo Costa Big Chungus. That's what he's calling him now. Paulo Costa is a big dude, man. He must walk around at like 235 and tries to make weight at 185. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. No wonder he can't cut weight. The light heavyweight division is already stacked, and Paulo Costa already has a great place in the middleweight division. Obviously, he's the number 2 contender. If he does lose this fight, I could see him going up to light heavyweight. I really could. It wouldn't give him as much of an advantage as the weight cut gives him now at middleweight. You know, we've seen other fighters do this. Maybe not to this degree of huge weight cuts to have an advantage on the day of the fight. Is something Khabib did. It's something a lot of heavyweights do. Brock Lesnar would do it. He would walk around at 315 and cut to 265, and then in the octagon, he would of the day of the fight, he'd be 285, and his opponent would only be 270. So it's a strategic move, but it's only strategic if you actually can make the weight for your fight. And Paulo Costa didn't do that. That fight is going to be the main event of Fight Night coming up this weekend. To be honest with you guys, I can't keep the Fight Nights straight as far as the numbers, but UFC has it as UFC Fight Night Costa versus Vettori. In the co-main event, Grant Dawson versus Rick Glenn in the lightweight division. Grant Dawson has a 2-inch reach advantage. He has 5 years younger, and he's actually shorter than Ricky Glenn. Tail of the tape kind of gives it to Grant Dawson, who is also 17-1. That'll be an interesting fight. Alex Caceres fights Choi Sung Woo. And besides that, not too many other fights of big name. Jamie Pickett's fighting Laureano Starpoli. Kama Worthy's fighting Jai Herbert, both in the undercard, or in the preliminaries, I should say. So that is... Yeah. How the hell do I have 2 going right now? I hope that fixes the problem right there. That's weird. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we do get back, we'll be starting to talk about UFC 267 and 268, which will be coming up not this weekend, but next weekend and the week right after that. We'll be right back. All right. Welcome, Austin, to the pod. Coming up in 10 days, we got UFC 267. UFC 267, well, some people might say it doesn't have the star power of UFC 268, which will be the weekend after. 267 is nonetheless going to be a contender for one of the pay-per-views of the year, I truly believe, even though a couple things got taken from it. Aljamain Sterling dropped out, so now we got the interim belt of Piotr Jan versus Corey Sandhagen.
That's fine.
And then, I guess the Rockhold Strickland fight was actually in 268. So both pay-per-views kind of got a notch down, which sucks to see. But nonetheless, we got a stacked card.
Could be a lot of knockouts except for the main event. Well, main event could be a knockout.
Yeah, the main event could definitely be a finish.
A lot of knockout possibilities. Kazmat Kamaev knockout, I see. Piotr Jan. I think he wins against Corey Sandhagen.
I definitely got Piotr Jan.
I think it's a good matchup. Like Sandhagen definitely has a chance matchup wise.
Well, the biggest thing I'm thinking about this fight, it says that the reach advantage is 3 inches for Sandhagen. There's no way that's the case. It's like a good 5 inches. Sandhagen's 5'11", Piotr Jan's 5'7", 5'6".
Yeah, poor Sandhagen if he can use his distance good by light kicks. I say that about a lot, but I feel like that can manage a fight.
It does. But Piotr Jan's just...
Islam Makhachev, Dan Hooker,
that's a really interesting fight.
I don't see Islam Makhachev finishing Dan Hooker. I see Dan Hooker possibly could finish Islam Makhachev, but I still got Makhachev at the end of the day.
Yeah, I have Makhachev too, but...
He wasn't even supposed to fight Dan Hooker.
Right.
Dan Hooker took this
fight on short notice. He was supposed to fight Rafael dos Anjos. It was short notice, yes, but he also had like a month and a half of camp.
Yeah, and he just got off a win, so he was in camp. So it's not like he's out of shape previously. Right. So
I guess it actually wasn't a month and a half because UFC 266 was September 25th. So, and he took it like days after the pay-per-view, so it was really a month. It was a month.
Yeah, dominant win. Dominant.
Islam Makhachev's training for a different style of fighter now, too. He had to switch up his game plan.
Yeah, but taking guys to the ground, it's not really... Can't really change that much. Because, he wants to take everyone down to the ground.
Right.
Regardless.
Right, but when you're training for originally Rafael dos Anjos, who's like 5'9", jiu-jitsu black belt, and now you're going against Dan Hooker, who's a 6 foot, not black belt. It opens up some holes for you, but it also, what you do have to grasp for now is that Dan Hooker just fought a wrestler. I can't remember his name. Nasrat Hakprost.
Yeah, but...
Can't believe I remember that. In UFC 266, and Dan Hooker stuffed a bunch of takedowns, and he also has a mean uppercut.
Yeah.
So Makhachev's going to have to really switch up his...
Camp? What camp is that guy from? It's like, who's he training with? Like, we're talking about like Khabib's so much prodigy. What I mean? That's what he's saying. So,
no,
he did just stuff a wrestler, but we're talking about the number one wrestling camp in the UFC right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, like
all I'm saying is Dan Hooker has
possibly for a couple
recent
years.
Experience against a really good high-level wrestler. And he also, like you said, has been in good shape. I think that Dan Hooker, I believe, is a harder matchup for Rafael dos Anjos for Islam Makhachev. I think that Dan Hooker has a much better chance of knocking out Islam Makhachev, like you said. That being said, I still have Makhachev.
Yeah, but I'm not saying Dan Hooker's gonna knock him out. I'm saying like they 9 times out of 10, Islam Makhachev's winning this fight, and then maybe, I'm not even saying a 10th, like one fight he knocks him out. You know what I mean? Like it's not like
I don't think it's that much of a separation.
Out of 100, maybe like he knocks him out like 5 times.
I don't think it's that much of a separation. I think you want to talk about.
Dos Anjos is a black belt on the ground. This guy's not. I just don't. I think this matchup's better for Islam.
Well, here's the thing: the jiu-jitsu black belt's really going to help you out once you get to the ground. It's not. It is obviously you have experience with wrestling, but a wrestling background is totally different from a jiu-jitsu background. A wrestling background is something that will help you transition on the ground. It'll also help you stop takedowns.
Islam Makhachev coming off a submission win too
against Thiago Moises. Yep. I think Makhachev
ranked at the time that he beat him. He was number 10.
Really? I thought he was 14. Makhachev, nonetheless, I believe, is going to win. And I think it's probably a unanimous decision, 49-46. Dan Hooker could get like third round. You get one round, Makhachev doesn't go for a takedown. Dan Hooker hits him with some jabs. You want to talk about camps, though. Dan Hooker is in one of the best camps in the world right now, too. 2 division champs. You got a bunch of different guys. I can't remember the name of it, but we were just tweeting about him. Go follow us on Twitter at @complete_MMA. It's the Australian camp.
Yeah,
is moving to California now. Adesanya, Volkanovski, Dan Hooker all train there. That's a pretty damn good stable of fighters.
Yeah.
So, but they're all stand-up. That's the thing. Volkanovski's definitely more well-rounded than Adesanya and Hooker. But we were talking about Volkanovski in the last couple weeks leading up to his fight with Ortega, and Volkanovski was training with some of the best wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys in the world, right? Weren't you the one saying that?
I don't know.
You weren't saying Volkanovski was training with some jiu-jitsu expert before Ortega?
Yeah.
He's in the same camp as Hooker. So Hooker was training with him too.
Okay.
That could be that. I'm just saying that's.
All right. Well, I'm just saying Islam Makhachev is going to take him to the ground.
Yeah, of course. I just think it'll be interesting to see what Dan Hooker does when he's down there with him. I think Islam Makhachev should have his way with him.
He ain't gonna be able to do much. That's why I said that he could knock him out, and that's the only way he's going to win.
Right.
Is if he knocks him out. He ain't winning in points because he ain't taking him down. He ain't gonna take him down because his Islam Makhachev's defense. He's only been taken down, I think, once.
I don't think Dan Hooker goes for a single takedown. I don't think that. I don't know why he would.
There's no.
I think that it is crazy unlikely that Dan Hooker wins by points, but I don't think I would say that it's impossible. I think he could absolutely. I think he could. I would say he's a better boxer than Makhachev. Not by much because Makhachev's is really good at striking.
Yeah, he's faster hands, better striking, but I mean, you can't do that on the ground. Especially when you're on the bottom.
We also got on the main card Alexander Volkov versus Marcin Tybura. This is one of the fights that we were really interested about when we were doing our heavyweight rankings last week.
Well, I just want to add, Sportsbookie has fights all the way to December too.
Yeah. Marcin Tybura versus Alexander Volkov right now is 7-9 in the heavyweight rankings, and we had them as 6-9. Yeah, I saw that.
Poirier, yeah.
And what one is that? Is that 269? Poirier versus Oliveira?
Yeah. 269.
Yeah.
December 11th, be there.
I don't know who I have, Volkov or Tybura. I think Tybura etches it out because I don't really believe in Volkov. But Volkov has the distance, man. Volkov's like 6'7". 6'7", he's going to have only a 2-inch reach advantage over Tybura, who's 6'3".
It might be worth a little sprinkle on Hooker, bro. You see that? Oh, my God.
Looking up odds for UFC 267
Dan Hooker,
now.
plus 5 units.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty shocking, honestly. I get that Makhachev's a hype train and he's going to be up the next in the lightweight division, but I mean, Dan Hooker is kind of coming off, like we said, only a month game plan.
Kyrgian minus 2.5 units. What's Kamaev and Islam Makhachev? Minus 2.5 units on a parlay. That's not good.
No.
That's crazy.
I don't know if I'm betting on Kamaev.
Oh,
I don't think I am.
I am.
Comes up. Oh, yeah. So Alexander Volkov, Marcin Tybura. It's going to be a 3-round fight. Volkov lost his last 2. Tybura lost his last. And I would expect this fight to go to a decision unless Volkov is able to really use his distance to knock out Tybura. Either way, this fight's going to stay standing, and I think Tybura will win in the end. We also got what we were just talking about, Khamzat Chimaev versus Li Jingliang as the last fight, or the first fight of the main card. Khamzat Chimaev hasn't fought since, it's almost been a year and a half now, since his last knockout victory over Gerald Mearshart.
It's been a year this month. I think a year almost to the date.
And Li Jingliang is coming off a knockout win of Santiago Ponzinibbio in January.
October 30th.
That's this upcoming fight. That's yeah.
When was the last time he fought?
September 19th of last year.
Wow. So it's been over a year. You gonna knock him out?
I don't know. Maybe. He's been away for so long. Li Jingliang is not something to scoff at. People that are just like Chimaev's numbers are definitely off the charts because nobody's thinking about Jingliang and people just are going to hammer Chimaev. it'd be interesting to really take a look and to see, Jing Liang is he's in the middleweight rankings. He's won his last 3 fights.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I'm looking the guy up. Can you keep talking?
And then in the first fight, or the last fight of the prelims, we have Volkan Ozdemir versus Magomed Ankalaev, which is another fight that we were talking about last week because of its top 10 importance. Magomed Ankalaev is number 9 right now. Volkan Ozdemir is number 8 in the lightweight heavyweight rankings. The winner of this fight is going to start getting into that top 5 contention, especially with Thiago Santos having a dud with Johnny Walker and Dominic Reyes kind of dead in the water in the light heavyweight rankings as of right now. Magomed Ankalaev is also 15-1. Volkan Ozdemir has lost his last 2 fights, both against really great fighters. So whoever wins this fight is, I don't want to say number 5 because you got Anthony Smith there right now. But, you could put him top 5, and it's on the prelims of the fucking UFC. That's what's so crazy.
Upcoming fight this weekend, Ricky Glenn.
Yeah, I was just talking about Glenn.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, he's coming up. He's fighting this week against Grant Dawson.
Ricky Glenn coming off a first-round knockout, 37 seconds into the round. Big hype train, got injured, took 3 years off, or 2.5 years? 2.5 years off. Coming off a big win, and he is plus 3.5 units.
Yeah, because the guy's facing 17-1. He has a reach advantage. He's been knocking people out too. Grant Dawson.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, it might be worth something. I'm definitely putting something on that.
There you go.
Ricky Glenn, sleeper. Joe Rogan is a big fan. Big fan of Ricky Glenn. He didn't even get to show all his weapons in that fight. I think people are going to be surprised. That is my sleeper underdog at plus 3.5 units.
Okay.
Take it.
So
I'm gonna tweet it too.
So here's something that I'm just now realizing: the prelims of UFC 267. You listen?
I'm listening. I'm just tweeting.
Start at 10:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Main card starts at 2:00.
Wow.
Card's going to be over at 6.
Well, what time is this? Saturday today? Oh
no, this is 267.
It's fucking Halloween, man.
No, it's not.
Saturday?
Sunday's Halloween.
Bro, it's Saturday.
What do you mean?
Everyone's gonna go out Saturday instead of Sunday because of the school.
Okay. All I'm saying is we're going to be live streaming this. It's not going to be 8 to 1. It's going to be like 11.
Oh, are you? Oh, you're calling out of work for this one?
I already have it off. It's going to be like 11 to 6.
I got you now. Okay. Yeah. It's going to be lit. It's going to be like the Khabib one.
Right.
We're probably going to might get more people tune in, because of the time, Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
Vegas and Britain.
I mean, Vegas, it'll be 6 in the morning when we start. But anyway, finishing off the last couple big fights that are in UFC 267, we got the strawweight bout between Amanda Ribas and Verna Jandiroba. That's numbers 5 and 8, respectively. So that's going to be huge in the strawweight division. And then we also have a pretty decent light heavyweight fight for top 15 contention between Shamil Gamzatov and Michael Alexichuk. Michael Alexichuk, formerly ranked in the top 15 light heavyweight until he lost his last fight. I can't remember who. But the winner of this fight will probably get into that top 15. That'll be really interesting. Shamil Gamzatov is actually 14-0 as well. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage, and he's 5 years older. Wow, Alexichuk's 26 years old. Younger than I would have thought. But Alexichuk looking to get back into that top 15, and Gamzatov looking to continue his undefeated streak. So that's one to look out for the prelims. And then we didn't even talk about the main event. Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira for the light heavyweight championship. It's been a tough one to really call because Jan Blachowicz had his last fight. He dominated Israel Adesanya, a man that was at the time a good 25 pounds less than Blachowicz. He dominated him wrestling, which Adesanya is not a good wrestler. And now he's going up against Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira will be equal to his weight, and Glover Teixeira is better on the ground than Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz is now looking to knock out Glover Teixeira.
Glover Teixeira. is going to get knocked out. Knocked out. I'm going with Jan Blachowicz.
Glover Teixeira is going to choke out Jan Blachowicz.
We'll see.
And new. And then Piotr Jan, I believe, will have a unanimous decision victory over Corey Sandhagen. That is an interim title bout, so it is 5 rounds, by the way. So we got Blachowicz. No. I have Teixeira. You have Blachowicz.
Yeah.
So that's not on the pod bet. We both got Jan. That's on the pod bet.
Jan.
Both got Makachev. That's on the pod bet. Oh, man. Ankalaev Ozdemir.
You got Ankalaev.
I know you do. I
got Kamaev, too.
I don't.
Kamaev.
Ankalaev Ozdemir is tough. We're going to have to really look into that one for the next pod. But that might be on the pod bet. And then I have Amanda Ribas versus Verna Jandiroba. I think that one is one we could talk about the pod bet. We could also parlay the pod bet with 268, man.
I like Amanda Ribas. I like Piotr Jan. It's just all these people that we're choosing are the favorites.
Yeah, look how that worked out for us last time.
So maybe stay away from Ankalaev. I like Kamaev. It did work out for us last time. And it makes sense, right? Because like we should be picking the favorites if we know the fighters. And it is the pod bet, so it should be the favorites.
Right.
You know. Yeah, that's the only. I mean, we got Makachev at -700. Is it worth the sweat? Because we said this last time with fucking.
We don't have to talk about numbers right now. I was just trying to go over some of the winners who we think.
Shevchenko.
We still got next week to talk about the pod bet.
Yeah, but we could look at it now.
I only got 20 more minutes. I want to go over 268 as well.
It's not really worth it.
All right, so when we get back, that 267, like I said, we will be going live next Thursday at 7, as we do every week, to talk about UFC 267 a little bit more. This was just a little bit to kind of get the grasp of all the fights that are going on. And then the week after that is UFC 268. Crazy that this is the first time there's ever been back-to-back pay-per-views over weekends. So when we get back, we'll start talking about UFC 268, and then at the end, we might go over a little bit of the parlays that we're thinking about, and we got to figure out when we're doing the pound-for-pound rankings. You know, I want Mark and Dylan to be here. I know Dylan's been really busy, and I know Mark has things to do on Thursdays, but I would like to do that before. I mean, maybe we could do it after the pay-per-views. Anyway, that's also on the schedule. But when we get back, we're going to be talking about UFC 268. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Check out Fans Only Sports. Go check out our YouTube page, MMA Complete Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at @complete_MMA, and we'll be right back. All right, so UFC 268 is going to be live November 6th. Seeing right now if they have that at a different time. So that fight is supposedly going to be happening at regular time. It's funny that you had said Great Britain earlier. That is where UFC 267 is going to happen, in the UK, Etihad Arena. But UFC 268 has the star power that maybe UFC 267 lacks. UFC 267 has a lot of really good fights. 268 is more of an upper card show, but the upper fights are ridiculous.
Yeah. Sorry, I just noticed I have like 3 people on my Yahoo fantasy team bye weeks.
Oh, you hadn't kicker, you hadn't checked your lineup?
My kicker, my defense, and my tight end. I got no backups for either of them. Now I'm like kind of scrambling right now.
All right. So UFC 268 is coming up in 2 weeks. That is the second installment of Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington in a fight that I'm surprised that we have not gotten as much publicity about as we did in the first fight.
Rodrigo Blankenship.
We can talk football after. Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington hasn't had a lot of press coverage. And I don't know if that's because 267 is trying to get out of the way because they're only a week in advance. So you don't really have the time to build up the main event as you would in a normal pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. But we saw a lot of shit talking in the first installment. We haven't seen any in this one. We've seen a little bit from Colby, but nothing compared to what we did in the first fight. But nonetheless, this is the two best welterweights in the world. Yeah. Colby Covington, or two of the top three. Gilbert Burns is up there too. But Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman are definitely two of the top three. And Kamaru Usman's, pound for pound, best in the world, best in the division, creeping up on George St. Pierre for greatest welterweight of all time if he isn't already there. So that's going to be an exciting fight, a fight that we all expect Kamaru Usman to retain. However, if there was someone to beat Kamaru Usman, it would be Colby Covington, probably by a decision victory, landing more strikes. If Kamaru Usman doesn't knock him out, which training with Trevor Whitman for the last 6 months, it seems likely that he actually will knock him out this time, but who knows?
Who the hell knows, man?
Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang is the co-main event strawweight fight. This fight is very interesting. I have Weili Zhang winning this fight. I had her win in the first one, and Rose Namajunas it was a beautiful lead roundhouse kick that Zhang was not prepared for. I don't think Zhang gets caught like that again. I don't think she gets knocked out in the first round. Weili Zhang has had 4 UFC fights before this, and that was the only fight that she'd ever been knocked out. Every other fight she went to a decision. So I believe that this will go to a decision. Rose Namajunas has something to prove to defend her title because she is a two-time strawweight champion, but she had no title defenses in her previous reign. She won the title. She lost in her next fight. So Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang is right now the biggest fight to make in the either women's division. And we're going to see it in 2 weeks. It's going to be really exciting. Rose Namajunas 2-inch reach advantage. And like we said, she has that fucking roundhouse kick ability that we didn't expect. Rose Namajunas came into the last fight as the better wrestler. Weili Zhang was supposedly the better stand-up fighter. Mm-hmm. And I think this fight's going to be a brawl. I think it's going to go 5 rounds.
I did not assess that. I thought Rose was going to knock her out. I picked Rose to win.
Good for you, then.
I thought Rose, yeah.
Okay.
Fucking won that.
Bitch.
Yeah. Woo! Take it to the bank.
And then we
Plus
got
900.
And then
I'll
we got.
Say it.
Okay.
Boom. Plus 9 units. MMA Complete. It might have been plus 1,200. Your turn.
You know we're still not trying to say numbers on this pod, right?
Hey, have we said we've said number of us fours, right?
I know, but I still don't want to say numbers on this pod. Okay.
Oh, that's
Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler is another one of the fights that is going to be I'm most interested in. Kamaru Usman versus Colby is interesting, but Kamaru Usman is more but Gaethje versus Chandler is more unpredictable. I personally have Gaethje winning. I think that this fight's going to be a mix of
Gaethje's winning,
getting knocked down, getting rocked. I think that Chandler's going to be able to take down Gaethje and put him into deep water a couple times. I think this is going to be the fight of the night. I believe it will be from both ends. Like, oh, Chandler's about to win. Oh, Gaethje's about to win. Oh, this is fucking ridiculous. This is hectic.
I think Gaethje dominates. Both have wrestling backgrounds. Both don't really have jiu-jitsu backgrounds. We've seen what Gaethje can do on somewhat takedowns with Khabib. He stuffed a couple. They were sprawls. We've seen what he can do. But, striking better, can stop the takedown. Michael Chandler's third fight in the UFC. Yeah, Gaethje.
I definitely have Gaethje too. I think that Gaethje is able to win on points because I think this will go 3 rounds. I wish this was a 5-round fight, but it's not going to be.
I think he knocks him out.
But I think that Michael Chandler should absolutely not be undervalued for this fight. Justin Gaethje is one of the highest level strikers in that division, if not the highest level striker in that division. And if Michael Chandler gets caught by Gaethje, it's nothing to be ashamed about. Michael Chandler needs to stick to a game plan of keeping his distance. He needs to throw a lot of overhands because Chandler does have a lot of power and could knock the fuck out of Gaethje. But Gaethje is more likely to he has the Nate Diaz style to him, where he just hits you 4 or 5 times, he gets you that right moment, and then he goes in for the kill. We also saw Justin Gaethje in his last 2 fights have a different style than what we're used to. In his fight against Tony Ferguson, he was super composed. He would rock Ferguson and not rush into it.
Because he didn't want to go to the ground.
He would absolutely just stay composed and just keep landing strikes. And then obviously we couldn't see too much of what he did with Khabib, although people argue that he won the first round against Khabib. He had vicious leg kicks. That's always something that Justin Gaethje's been great at. And I think that Michael Chandler is very similar to Khabib, except he's not as skilled at wrestling. And that is Michael Chandler's biggest weapon. So I think Gaethje's going to be well prepared for the fight because of his experience with Khabib. And I think that he's going to be able to... I don't think he knocks him out. I think that Chandler only got knocked out because he rushed in against Oliveira because he was expecting him to still be rocked. He could knock him out, but I think that this goes to decision. And I think Gaethje wins maybe 29-28.
I got Gaethje by knockout. And I see it the second round.
Elsewhere in the main card, we have Shane Burgos making his return since his last fight against Jose Aldo. He's going to be fighting Billy Quarantillo. Go ahead.
Shane Burgos, sleeper. Did you not think he wins this fight?
No, I think he wins.
I think he was winning his last fight.
Yes and no.
With Barboza? Didn't he face Barboza? Yeah. That freak knockout that we watched in Boston. Yeah. Shane Burgos, 100%. He can take him to the ground too. Who the hell is this guy?
Billy Quarantillo. He's been in the UFC for a while. 16-3 record. I can't tell you his last couple victories. I will tell you that Shane Burgos has listed by Google a 5.5
reach advantage. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Shane Burgos, he looked good with his hands too, and he can take a beating.
So Quarantillo's won 3 of his last 4. His only loss was against Gavin Tucker. Gavin Tucker is currently number 14 ranked in the featherweight division. It's a decent row of victories for Quarantillo, but Shane Burgos went toe-to-toe with Edson Barboza and almost won if he didn't get the spinning sidekick delay knockout that Barboza had. Burgos was also a master of using his reach against Barboza, who Barboza had a longer reach than Quarantillo. So if he can continue with that, I don't see why Shane Burgos doesn't. I mean... He could knock him out. But this is a featherweight bout, and I would think it's more likely that it goes to a decision. But I think it's a 30-27 decision in favor of Burgos.
Yeah, I can see that. I think Shane Burgos has this in the bag. That might future pod bag Gaethje Burgos.
We got a couple other fights to talk about. There's 3 other fights that we want to talk about for 268. Frankie Edgar versus Chito Vera. Frankie Edgar suffering one of the worst knockouts of his career when Corey Sandhagen flying kneed him just a couple months ago. I think it was in January or February. And Chito Vera, I believe 2 of his last 4 fights he's won. So both of these guys need a big win. And this isn't the most marketable fight, Frankie Edgar versus Chito Vera, but the winner of this fight will get, he'll probably be number 7, number 8 in the bantamweight rankings. And that's a good spot to really start getting competition.
Vera doesn't need a win. Obviously they both need a win.
Right.
Vera's on a streak here. He hasn't lost in a
while. I think Chito Vera did lose. I think he lost to Jose Aldo, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he did.
I thought he was 2 of his last 4. So he beat Davey Grant. He lost to Aldo. Yeah. He beat Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, I forgot he beat Jose Aldo right after O'Malley quick. Yeah, but we saw that after.
So he beat O'Malley on what you could say was a asterisk win. It wasn't an asterisk win. He beat him, but O'Malley got unlucky with getting his nerve kicked in his leg in the first round. If that didn't happen, who knows what would have happened. Yeah. And then he loses to Jose Aldo, which is a great loss because Aldo's been killing it in bantamweight. And then he beats a guy named Davey Grant. So he's looking for a marquee win. And Frankie Edgar's looking to get back in the top 5 of the division. I think that this is the best of both worlds, and the winner of this will be right there in the top 5. Probably number 7, I would guess. You got Dominic Cruz, and you got Marlon Moraes, who's still around that 8 spot. Yeah. But it depends on how the fight goes. If one of them gets a knockout, that could propel him even farther. Either way, the winner of this fight is going to be in great position for the future.
Yeah.
I know this is your boy. If you want to talk about him, Alex Pereira. He's making his UFC debut.
Is
That's the
your
guy that knocked out
Adesanya?
Adesanya.
Yeah. No, I mean, I called it. What can I say?
Called what? That he was going to be in the UFC someday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's fighting Andreas Michailidis.
Yeah. And guess
Nothing
who
listed for Alex Pereira, by the way.
Yeah. Guess who I think's gonna win?
Alex Pereira.
Yeah. I mean, don't you?
I don't know. I have no idea either of these guys. Edmund Shabazian's fighting Nasruddin Imavov. Edmund Shabazian, number 9 in the middleweight rankings right now, looking
Underdog.
to get back into the winning column after losing his last 2 fights. And then we got a pretty good fight between Ali Aquinta and Bobby Green. Both guys are veterans of the lightweight division, and they are always contenders for a top 15 spot. So,
Yeah.
top to finish, UFC 268 is good.
Yeah.
But the top 3 fights are really what separates it. The main card and prelim fights are all right. But it's going to be those 3 main card fights, Usman Covington, Namajunas Shang, Gagey Chandler, are going to be the best back-to-back-to-back fights we see all year. There's not going to be any other card.
Maybe the one that's going to happen before it.
267? 267's top 3 fights. Jan Blachowicz Teixeira's... That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not huge.
Fights, though.
Right, they have a longer stretch, but the top 3 of 268, I think it might be the best of any card we see.
Fights in this.
All 6.
That's 6? Yeah, it is 6. All 6 fights are good.
Right, I think we're going to have a more entertaining night throughout in UFC 267.
And a reloss is in the fucking prelims. That's crazy. Ricardo Ramos, too. Wow. Sorry.
I think we're going to have a more entertaining stream throughout the entire thing. We won't be as tired, obviously, because it's going to end at like 6 o'clock. But there's going to be a lot more fights that we're going to be able to wrap our heads around for 267. But 268, that 12 o'clock to 1:30 period or 11:30 to 1 o'clock period of those last 3 fights are going to be off the charts. It's going to be so awesome.
Dude, what a fight night, dude. Kevin Holland, Dawkins 2. Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez. Wow. That's good 2 fights. Interesting. 3 good weeks in a row of UFC and back-to-back pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think it stops at 3.
Dude, and Vittori Costa is a good fight night. And Miesha Tate?
Miesha Tate's the week after. Rob Font versus Jose Aldo's the week after that. And then 269's the week after that. That's Oliveira Poirier, Nunes Pena, Leon Edwards Masvidal, Cara France Garbrandt, O'Malley Paiva. That's going to be a really good card as well. Like I said, and then after that, we got Chris Daukaus versus Derek Lewis. Quarter 4 of UFC is just ridiculous. That's what I started the show talking about, that these next couple weeks, I mean, sure, there's 1 or 2 in there that's like meh. But it's...
To the end of the year, they're pretty fucking fire.
Right. Like, the worst main event over the next 2 months still has Max Holloway in it. Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
It's crazy that Derek Lewis is going to fight twice before Ngannou.
Who do you lose to? He lost to Cyril Gane. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think it's nuts.
No, but they were talking about Derek Lewis fighting Ngannou, like talking in the way beginning, and then Derek Lewis takes a fight for the interim belt, loses, and now he's going to fight Chris Daukaus.
Right.
Before Ngannou even fights somebody. That's
I would like to see Derek Lewis Curtis Blades too. Oh. All right, so that's going to do it for episode 69. Number 69 special.
Oh, damn, I forgot.
Yep. Yeah, I did a whole jig at the beginning to celebrate. No, I didn't really.
Yeah, I know you didn't.
But make sure you tune in next week where we go over what the fuck is going to happen between Costa and Vittori. You know what? We can talk about that for 5 minutes because you didn't really get to talk about it with me. Here's the 3 things that were my big census of what happened.
I got something I want to talk about with you too. So
all right,
continue.
go ahead.
Oh, me? Okay. Does the fight being at 195 catch weight, by the way, which 195 should be a division, at 195, who does it benefit more? To you. I'm going to let you say it, and then I'll say who I think.
Here's my answer to that.
Just who do you think it benefits more?
Costa.
Me too.
Here's my thing. And I went on a fucking rant about Paulo Costa, about why the fuck the rules don't apply to him and why he's getting exceptions.
No, because they allowed it. He allowed it.
I know, but why the fuck did they allow it? And I pray to God that Marvin Vettori has the representation of that he was the deciding factor of whether this goes to catchweight or not. Because some UFC, well, you don't know that for sure. Probably.
They
but here's the thing. If Marvin Vettori is already at 188 and he's been cutting and he's been chilling.
Probably not.
Well, it's 2 days out from the fight. He might be. Might be 188. 190 max if he's cutting the way that he usually does. And now he gets to chill for the next 2 days.
And just train.
Paulo Costa.
No, obviously train.
Paulo Costa has been training at 215 and now he just has to cut 20 pounds. Whereas Marvin Vettori might have been cutting 30 pounds over the last 3 weeks. I think that Paulo Costa's body has not suffered as much wear and tear as Marvin Vettori in the last 2 weeks, and I think that will be a huge factor. Here's where it may not, though. Marvin Vettori has better cardio than Paulo Costa.
He just went full
5 rounds, and he was still going at the end of the 5th. So, Marvin Vettori might... It benefits Costa to be heavier because Costa wants to be more built anyway, but I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. That's basically what it is.
This is Paulo Costa's chance to fight Adesanya again.
Here's where I get the most pissed in this whole situation. If they both agreed, it goes to 195. If Marvin Vettori okayed it.
He did.
If UFC okayed it.
Yep.
Does Marvin Vettori not get 20% of Costa's purse?
No, absolutely not. He agreed.
And I think that's terrible.
No, you don't even get 20% of his purse.
I know, and I think that's terrible. I think Marvin Vettori is entitled to that 20%.
Why? He agreed to it, dude.
No, I get that. But Paulo Costa signed his name on a contract 2 months ago that said that he was going to make 185 pounds on October 21st. And he didn't do that.
I don't know what you want. I don't know. They agreed.
No, I realize that. I'm saying that I think Marvin Vettori should get 20% because Paulo Costa is not making the weight that he was originally entitled to. That's all. It's just my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that Marvin Vettori is Marvin Vettori's, if he doesn't make 185, he's going to be 190 because he doesn't have to just drink water for the next 2 days. And he can actually eat a little bit.
Yeah. No, I get your argument. I just don't understand it because, Vettori... acknowledged that he wanted to fight at 195 and came out and said, yeah, 195, that's fine.
I didn't see anything that Marvin Vettori came out and said that.
Well, there wouldn't be a big announcement about it if he didn't agree to it.
I agree with you. I just haven't seen it. I'm sure you're right.
No, I am.
You know that? You know that Marvin Vettori okayed it?
Yeah, because the fight's at 195.
Right, but did you see anything that Marvin Vettori okayed it?
Yeah.
Are you just saying that because the fight came out at 195 and you're guessing that Marvin Vettori okayed it?
No, there's no reason you think they're just going to come out and say, yeah, the fight's at 195 and Marvin Vettori has no say.
I don't know. I can't say one way or the other.
Then why is the fight at 195?
I don't know.
Because they both agreed, dude. That's what I'm saying. That's all. That's all.
I just haven't
The fight wouldn't be at 195 if Vettori didn't agree. And guess what?
You don't know that.
All right. You're right. I don't know. Just the fight's at 195, I guess.
Okay. I think the whole situation's crazy. I can't think of another situation.
It's not crazy, dude. It's not crazy. The guy came out and asked if he wanted to fight at 195, and the other guy said, yeah, sure. And now they're fighting at 195.
But can you think of another fight instance where this happened a week out?
Not off the top of my head, but yeah, it's probably happened before. There's been catchweight fights before.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's weird. It's not weird. It's another one. I'm not trying to piss you off.
You're not. I'm just I don't get how it's weird when both fighters agreed to 195.
Because it's one of the most high-profile main events to switch weights in the last week of the fight. I just think that's interesting.
I don't know.
No, all right. Well,
No,
that's going to do
yeah,
it for
I
episode
mean,
69.
100%. I just don't. I think. I mean, if both fighters agree, they agree. And I think Vittori's still gonna win. I think it benefits Paulo Costa more, and I still think Vittori's gonna come out and win. I think Vittori takes him to the ground, and Paulo Costa's not gonna know what to do.
Right.
As usual, like
I think
he didn't know what to do
I
on the
think
ground
that's-
when Adesanya got on top of him. He didn't know what to do. So, and that's Adesanya. We're talking about Vittori, who trains on the ground. I mean, obviously, Adesanya trains on the ground, but there's a different level.
Right. Adesanya didn't necessarily get on top of him to wrestle, though. But
He was
when
kicking
he
the
did,
shit out of him.
when he did fucking that huge hook that put Costa on the ground, and Costa just kind of stood there defending himself. So, but yeah, that's gonna do it for 69. This week we will see that fight. We will be back next week to talk about it and to really go over 267. We're gonna have to look into a couple of those fights. We're gonna have to look up Kamaev Jingliang. We're gonna have to look up Ankalaev Ozdemir. Go into maybe Rebus Jandiroba a little bit more. And then maybe parlay with 268. This could be a huge pod bet.
I'm down for that. I'm down for a less bet and do some like both main events.
Something like that, yeah. We could do like we're gonna make a lot of parlays for this
With both main events, with back
with both pay-per-views in every fight in the pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that doing back-to-back pay-per-views.
Yeah,
not been done a lot. Yeah, we got some interesting. We got a good 6-8 weeks of fights coming.
Yeah, we do. All right, that's going to do it for us. Episode 69 of the books. Check us out every Thursday night at 7 p.m. We do this every week. Find us at our live stream next week in 10 days. Actually, is going to start at like 11 o'clock. So wherever you're watching this, fansonlysports.com, Fans Only Sports Facebook, nakedsports.com, our own YouTube page, MMA Complete Podcast, at complete_MMA on Twitter, Fans Only Sports on Twitter. We're going to be going live 11 a.m. to probably something like 11 a.m. to probably something like 5 p.m. I don't know if everybody will be here at the start, but I'll be going live at 11 a.m. And
what time does the main card start?
2. So check us out for that. And then November 6th, we're going to be doing the same live stream, but it's going to be 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's our regular time. And we're going to have our Thursday night podcast in between. So make sure you come check us out. And then stay tuned for when we're going to be talking about our pound-for-pound rankings, which will be coming out soon, and it will finish off our entire list of our divisional rankings. And then we'll obviously be, we've talked about maybe the last pod of the year, maybe one of the last pods of the year. We'll be revising all of them and going over them because of the fights that have happened will have changed them.
Yeah, and plus the UFC takes a hiatus at the end of the year too.
Right.
They take like a 2-3 week hiatus. So.
And so that's it for us. It's a good pod. We will be back next Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank everybody for tuning in and have a good week. Go Marvin Vittori.